I can't believe it. My 8-year-old daughter just taught me what it takes to win big in music, and she's right. Hey, it's John here at Hyped. My 8-year-old daughter just taught me a lesson that I don't think I'll forget for the rest of my life. It's that impactful, and I think it's a message that is key for music artists like us. So I want to share with you. Now, before we jump in, don't forget to hit the like, the subscribe, and the bell icon below so that you can get more videos like this on YouTube to help you reach and get more fans for your music. A couple days ago, my 8-year-old daughter, the older of 2 daughters I have, was invited to a birthday party by a friend. And this birthday party took place in an arcade. Every kid that was invited got a card with a bunch of credits on it, and then they could go around and play any of the games that they liked. Now, my daughter walked around, and what caught her attention more than anything else was one of these claw crane machines. You've probably seen them. It's this machine that has this claw that you can control, and then you push a button, it goes down, dips into a pool of stuffed animals or other toys, and if you get really lucky, it pulls one out and drops it for you. So this is what she wanted to play. She had seen a plush toy in there that she wanted to get. So she swiped her card, took a bunch of credits off her card, controlled the crane, went down, and it came up empty. She was determined. Another try, moved the claw, went down, came up empty. A third attempt, came up empty again. She was so disappointed, especially because this machine always took multiple credits. It was a lot more expensive than the other computer games. And so as I watched her, I wanted to help her and walked over and said, look, these machines, they are designed that most of the times you don't really win. And I tried to convince her that maybe that machine wasn't the best use of her credits and way to spend her time with friends, and that maybe some other games available at the arcade would be a better choice. So after those 3 attempts, she turned around and she looked for some other things to do. 5 minutes later, she had played another game. She walked by the same machine, watching how another girl is doing the claw thing and is actually pulling out one of the stuffed animals that she wanted. That instantly relit her fire. Now she had actually seen that this was possible, that there was a way to get one of these stuffed animals out of this machine. That particular one was taken, that other girl kept on playing, so she started walking around, and it turns out that just around the corner was the biggest claw crane machine that I've ever seen in my whole life. It was literally bigger than the size of my home studio here. It had a claw like the size of my arms, and it was filled with stuffed animals that were literally half the size of my daughter. Her eyes lit up. This is what she had been looking for. And so she swiped her card, took a bunch of credits off of her card. This was probably the most expensive thing to do in the entire space. She navigated the claw, it came down, and it grabbed one of the animals. But as the claw came up and on its movement over to the starting point where it drops the animal on the claw dropped. Now she was so frustrated. She swiped again, took another attempt, came up empty, a third one came up empty, and now she was in tears. She stood in front of this machine. She felt cheated because there was a dangler that fell back down, and she had made so many attempts. She felt she deserved one of those animals in the machine. Again, I tried to comfort her and I explained that these machines are built a certain way, and suggested maybe she had a better time if she played some other games with her friends. We checked the credits on her cards, and it turns out that she had just enough credits to play the claw crane game just one more time, or probably spend easily half an hour or more with her friends playing other games. I strongly advised her to play with her friends, but she was determined, so she swiped the card, she moved the claw crane a last time, it went down, and you won't believe it, in a freak accident kind of way, 2 gigantic stuffed animals somehow got stuck on this claw. So this claw comes up, 2 gigantic animals on it, nothing drops, it gets to the starting point, and it drops 2 of these gigantic animals into the arms of my daughter. I was freaking out, she was freaking out. Here's a picture of what she looked like. She was just absolutely over the moon. She ran around, told all her friends, showed all her friends. This was the biggest victory, the biggest win that she'd had. I mean, it still amazes me. What are the chances to get 2 of these gigantic animals in one attempt? This probably never happened in the history of this machine. But I'm not telling you the story to motivate you to play the claw crane game in an arcade. No, far from it. I'm telling you the story because there are 2 huge lessons that I learned that day that I want to share. The first one is a lesson as a parent. My daughter will probably never listen to my advice again for the rest of her life. And how could she? I told her that you pretty much never win on those machines, and she pulled out 2 gigantic animals. So the exact opposite of the advice that I gave her happened. I'm not sure yet how I'm going to fix this one, but once I have that parental advice, I'll let you know. But the second huge lesson that I learned this day is a lesson so important for us as musicians. My daughter taught me that with persistence and luck, amazing things can happen. The only way she could win was to be in the game. And this is not advice to gamble, this is advice to stay focused, okay? She could have gone and done lots of other things at the arcade. Heck, I even motivated her to do other things, but she stayed laser focused. She knew what she wanted and she went for it. She'd even seen someone else win, right? This other girl at the first machine. So she knew that it was possible. She knew she could get what she wanted if she just stayed focused. If you want to win big on Spotify, you gotta be in the game. Are you gonna get millions of streams overnight? Look, the odds suggest no. But are there music artists who get there incredibly fast just by staying focused and being in the game? Yes, they are. And that means you have a chance. You have a chance as long as you stay in the game. And just as my daughter lost first before she won big, we as independent music artists, we have to be prepared to also lose first and not to expect every new song and every new campaign to be a winner before we actually win big. It's all about knowing what you want, staying focused, and being in the game. That's the #1 lesson I learned at this birthday party with my daughter. And when I laid in bed that night and thought about what had happened that day, it occurred to me that I maybe had been in a very similar situation all along, because when I was in high school and I got into music and I played in bands and my parents asked me, hey, what do you want to do for a living? I said, I want to be a musician. And my parents responded in just the same way as I had responded to my daughter at the arcade, right? They weighed back and forth. What are the odds that you're gonna make a good living as a music artist and as a musician? And they said, maybe that's not such a good idea and you should rather do something different with your life. My parents tried to be good parents by dissuading me from what I wanted to focus on. Now, despite this parental advice, I stuck with music. I had successes, but I also had downfalls. Only 20 years later, 20 years after this initial conversation with my parents, did I turn music into a living. This is how long it took me to win the big stuffies, right from the very unlikely claw crane machine that is the music business. But what I can share is that staying focused and being in the game, it was all worth it. So with this said, stay motivated, stay in the game, stay focused on your goals. That's how you're gonna get there. And I look forward to seeing you in another video. Cheers.